Let me just read you a portion of scripture that will underpin what I'm going to say. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11 to 12, it says, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put my childish things, I put away my childish things. For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know just as I also am known." So that is going to help me trying to bring some understanding. There's a few things that have happened. We have gone through a few catastrophes on our journey as a country. I won't belabor the point to give you what they are, but the most recent one is what we have put in as the brain drain. Most of the people that left this country in the past 20 years have been young people between even teenagers to the age of 40. So we lost some of our most skilled people to the diaspora. And when you lose estimates around 3 million people out there, when you lose such a critical workforce, such a critical contributor to your economy, things will not remain normal. There will obviously be some casualties in the process. Let me just reflect on an economy that we don't normally talk about, or a country we don't normally talk about. That is the United States of America. Over 200 years ago, the United States of America had a population of 3 million people. Now it is a population of about 300 million people, mostly immigrants. America today boasts of the superpower status and the largest and strongest economy, or largest economy in the world. But its economy has basically been built up by immigrants. Fundamentally built up by immigrants. We have suffered the reverse. And when you lose young people, you lose some of your key skills at a very critical stage. When you look back at independence, when some of us were teenagers and young, you will find how many people went into the artisan training. I remember having to celebrate going into First Street because there will be graduates coming out of the a diesel mechanic, and they'll be all in oil, and we'll celebrate them. They'll be just walking around First Street as part of their graduation. We don't have that because everybody has now been pushed into their position of incompetence. And because there's a vacuum. And if we don't analyze that vacuum, then we run the risk of stampeding one another. And part of my own ambition is to bridge that gap. Resource, train, mentor our young people to make sure that we don't make another huge mistake. I look at some of the work that is done by young people today in the skills. I know that my fellow panelists were really pushing in that envelope, and it must be pushed. But if we push our young people without skilling them, training them, mentoring them, we plunge ourselves into another disaster. And that is the role that the older folk ought to do deliberately, not insinuated. Because there are some things that can be caught rather than taught. In fact, 70% of the things you acquire as wisdom, skill, and knowledge are caught rather than taught. And therefore, it's important to emphasize that role of mentoring, that role of skilling, that role of experience. Now, I don't want to go into an argument for how long should we do this. But we should start this at a very earlier stage of high school and going on to our vocational training. And ensuring that there is a hand-holding process. Now, when you say that, you've got to have a functional economy. At the moment, we don't have one. So it doesn't offer the opportunities to skill, train, and help our young people have coal-face experience into some of the sectors of industry. When I look back in the past 30 years, the industries that have closed, but of course there are also industries that have opened. But we have gone through a deindustrialization process. And that's where we need to deal with the matter. If we don't reindustrialize our country, we will forever be losing the young people. It doesn't matter how you push the envelope that we want our own associations as young people. The millennials, if you just study, and I've done a thorough study about millennials, they are very much temporary driven. What you get now, what you can now, and sit on that can and move on if the can is empty. And they will not be hooked onto some long-term vision. Therefore, we've got to reindustrialize our country so that we skill them, that there is a purpose for them to stay at home. People are celebrating having their passports so that they can go elsewhere. We then are coming back and say, look, we are celebrating because our diaspora remittances have gone up. That is chicken feed. Because where they are going, they are giving no less than, they are giving over 100% of what they're giving you. So if they remained at home, they will resource us. We'll have an industry, we'll have an economy, we'll have skills, we'll have people that can lead, so they are not going out there. Young people, because they're young and no encumbrances, they are quick to leave and they're very mobile. So we've got to reindustrialize our country and our economy to offer jobs, skilling opportunities, experience opportunities for our young people so that they can stay at home. And that is what we need to do. So we've got to open up the factories again. I know we are all now .coms, but if there's no deliberate effort to ensure that the other countries that have developed, look at Singapore. Singapore has no resources. How did it develop? Through its own people. And you look at the Americans, the North Americans, you look at the Silicon Valley, a deliberate effort to attract young people. We must reindustrialize, we must focus the economy to make sure that we give opportunities to our young people, but they need mentoring, they need skilling, they need knowledge. I know that my time is not yet up, but I'm taught well. I will stop right here.